Namaste, everyone. So, a warm welcome to all the panelists and delegates across the world. As you know, we are participating in the International Conference on Human Values in Higher Education. We have categorized this discussion into three parts to have a focused discussion and definite outcome. The three categories are the need for holistic value-based education, the vision for holistic value-based education, and then the implementation part, how we are going to implement this holistic value-based education. So first, I will briefly present the viewpoint about the need for holistic value-based education. A part of it has already been addressed and emphasized during the keynote address. And then we will open the forum for panelists to discuss on the same. And then we will welcome the questions from the delegates. All right, so let us begin with the viewpoint of the need for holistic value-based education. So the need for human values is felt globally, and education across the globe have been making effort for it. If you look in India, there are several committees framed and the policies are formed. The Constitution also talks about justice, liberty, equality, fraternity. All India Council for Technical Education understood this importance of human values and made significant efforts since 2017. Our UGC, University Grant Commission of India, joined hands along the path. And if we look at our latest national education policy, this also says that education is fundamental in achieving holistic development and just and equitable society. And if we look at the World United Nations, the Sustainable Development Goal, it talks about no poverty, zero hunger, good health, well-being, education, quality education, clean water and energy, responsible consumption and production, sustainable communities, peace, justice, and all of that. So these multiple articulations have a common core, though some basic assumptions and focus may differ at times. So in this situation, it is imperative to appreciate the different approaches and achievements made so far. And we can be complementary and we can help to fill these gaps rather than to compare, criticize, or reject. Now let us look at the priority of values over skills in education. So if we look back at our life, we all had some aspirations. Each one of us can check within ourselves, have we achieved all that we aspired for? So you can see that, more has been achieved than we have aspired for. And there is no doubt about the technological advancement, the growing infrastructure, all the comforts that we have. But is there something missing? So if we look at our life individually and collectively, we can see that there is an increase in sadness, depression, suicides, hospitals, old age homes, orphanages. Not to mention the depletion of the natural resources and pollution globally that is existential crisis now. So we have more or less achieved what we have aspired for, but still there seems to be something missing. We are not living a fulfilling life, as also addressed in the keynote lecture. So should we double check our aspirations at the first place? So the proposal we are giving here is that we are learning how to do. It's important. But we also have to understand what to do. What is our basic aspiration? What is valuable for us as a human being? And education has the responsibility to facilitate both of this, understanding what to do and learning how to do. So yes, both are important, but what would be the priority between these two? So what we are proposing here is that understanding what to do is the first priority, which becomes part of the value education. And then comes learning how to do and the doing part, which is part of the skill education. Now, if we do an appraisal of the present education system, we can see that this has become highly skill-centric, which ensures only physical facility that addresses the needs of the body. And the core focus is to accumulate more and more, to consume more and more, rather than to produce what is required and utilize it rightly. And we are also not able to live with live in relationship with other human beings because that is not in our focus. We do not have the understanding how to live with fulfillment in relationship with other human beings. And the root cause, if you see, that it is not part of our education system. We have put almost, we put 20 to 22 years learning a skill, but there is no focus on this understanding part or, the capacity to live in relationship. So what we are proposing here is that the solution-centric approach, which is holistic value-based skill education, where the priority is given to values over skills that addresses the needs of the body as well as the needs of the self. With this understanding in every child, the child develops the capacity to live in relationship with other human beings and also the capacity to identify the need of physical facility, the skills and practice for sustainable production of more than what is required. The child understands right utilization of physical facility, which leads to the feeling of prosperity. So the focus here is on right understanding in every child. With the right understanding in the self, the child develops these capacities also. With this solution-centered approach, now we will be able to visualize that society where values takes the precedence over skills, where understanding and relationship takes the precedence over accumulation of physical facility, which we'll be looking at in our next vision part. But now let us quickly glance at the basic guidelines for holistic value-based education. So if we need to introduce education in human values, what could be the basic guidelines to decide what is valuable and what is not? So what we're saying is that it needs to be universal. The content needs to be universal, and it needs to be applicable to all human beings and true at all times and all places. It is not limited to any sect, creed, nationality, race, or gender. If it is true, sitting people here in India, it needs to be true at wherever you are sitting at any part in the globe. If it is true at this era, it needs to be true 10 years down the line or 20 years down the line. So that is the universal part of it. Then we're saying the second point is that the second guideline is that it needs to be rational if you need to cater to all the students. And it is not to be based on do's and don'ts or any blind beliefs. It is amenable to logical reasoning. The third guideline is that it needs to be verifiable. The student is able to verify the values on their own right. And it is not to be believed just because it is stated in the course. And the last one is that it needs to lead to harmony. Otherwise, it will not make any sense. So the values that enable us to live in peace and harmony within our own self, as well as with other human beings and the rest of nature. So in conclusion, we can say that the need for human values is felt globally. Today, there is a need to put efforts towards that. There's a need to prioritize values over skills in education. Then we saw that the solution-centric approach, where with the right understanding in every child, we can build the capacity to live in relationship and we can identify the need for physical facility. Then we also saw the basic guidelines about this holistic value-based education. So with this, I would like to conclude here and call upon Dr. Ela Dedia to moderate the panel discussion on the need for holistic value-based education. Dr. Ela is a PhD textile and fashion technology and involved with UHV-related activities since July 2020. She is also the director of Anveshanam Foundation. And she has been, working in education field for the last 30 years. So with this, I hand over the mic to Dr. Ila. Thank you all for a patient hearing. Namaste.
Thank you very much, Dr. Lipika, for the wonderful background that you have given through the keynote session. And I think with such a rich background of UHV that was shared by Dr. Rajneesh Arora, which was an history of more than 1.5 decade, and the entire journey, how it has moved, how it has grown. This we heard during his inaugural address. Also, the enlightening keynote session by Dr. Ganesh Bagaria on the theme of this conference and the sub-themes was really very thoughtful. It's brought in a lot of questions, I'm sure, to many. And the wonderful recap that was done by Dr. Lipika. Let me now open this panel discussion on the need for value-based education. And let me introduce our resourceful panelist. Yeah. So we have Mr. Mahesh Kore, who is an assistant professor of civil engineering from the Pune Vidyarthi Grihas College of Engineering and Technology, Pune, who is also involved with universal human values right since June 2021. He's participated in many workshops, is a very, very proactive volunteer. Welcome to you, Mr. Mahesh. Yes, now we can have the second panelist, who's Dr. Manisha Gupta, who's a BCom, MBA Finance, who's also done her PhD in finance. And she's worked as professor and director at Punjab Institute of Management and Technology, Alor Khanna. And she's associated with UHV from the last 4 years as, again, a very proactive volunteer and very resourceful. Welcome to you, Dr. Manisha Gupta. And we have our third panelist, who's Dr. Anita Santaji Mane, who's a PhD in Commerce, Shivajinagar, Kolhapur, who has a spread of 27 years of experience, and again, who's been involved since August 2020 in value education, the universal human values. We have along with us, welcome Dr. Anita, we also have along with us Dr. Amresh Patil, who is an associate professor, Department of Civil Engineering from the PDA College of Engineering, Kalaburgi, Karnataka, who is himself a BE, ME in Structural Engineering, a PhD in Highway Engineering, and again, who's connected with UHV since 2021. Welcome to you, Dr. Amresh. We have with us Dr. Garima Joshi, who's an assistant professor from UIET, Punjab University, Chandigarh, India, a PhD in Electronics and Communication Engineering, who has been actively involved in UHV pro bono since 2023. Welcome to you, Dr. Garima. And we have amongst our panelists, I think the next slide. Okay. So welcome to all of you. So there are, as we said, with all the background that we've had, let us see what are the kind of discussions that we can, start through this panel discussion. And the first question that I would like to ask is to Mr. Mahesh. Mr. Mahesh, do you really see, after having gone through all these sessions in the morning, after having this UHV background, do you see the need for introducing human values in technical education? I mean, many of you all are from technical education, so I'm sure all of you will have some opinion, some views on this. So maybe this question, all of you all who are connected with technical education, you can respond to this. Technical or professional education or whatever. Yes, Mr. Mahesh.
Thank you, Dr. Ila, for giving me the opportunity. Definitely, I see there is a need for, I can say, value-based or value education into the technical field also. Because what I found that, like, for example, I'm civil engineer. I feel now these days when the any bridge fails, no, I found there is no problem with the technical skills are with there with the students or the person who is working on that. But skill that bridge fails, that if we observe, it is due to lack of values. Not only that, every time we find that people are working like in the education field of technical colleges, they work on like how to do it, but never work on the what to do it, like as Lipika, Mr. Lipika has addressed this. So I feel it's very, very important that value education has to be addressed in engineering colleges. Not only that, it is also found that the technical people, due to the, I can say, getting higher salaries, they are getting disconnected also from the society. Even I found that in the families also. So I find, see, education, what is the purpose for which we are giving? That purpose somewhere is missing. So I feel very, very important value education to be part of this whole technical education. Rather, skill based education should be based on the value education. This is my take on this thought. Thank you so much.
Very nicely put, uh, Mr. Mahesh. Uh, Basically, you are seeing it as how to bring the students in the mainstream, being connected to the families and society, and how we can make the skill-based education value-based. Very nice. So, yes, Dr. Manisha, would you like to throw your light, your views onto this?
Yes, Dr. Ila, thank you so much. Yeah, I also can see the need for value education in education in all in the present context. Even in the introductory part, Dr. Lipika, she has truly rightly pointed out that education must facilitate towards understanding what to do and how to do. So I can see that in our present education system, we are facilitating on the second part, that is how to do. And hence we can see most of the problems around. Like we are developing technologies, making softwares without knowing what to do with that. So we can also witness the misutilization and the destruction all these technologies is making. So I can see if the values are at priority, skills can be effectively and efficiently utilized. Now, if I as a student, I get this clarity that what is to be done by me. If I am clear what I want to be, what is to be done by me, I can very well decide what skill I should acquire to do it. So definitely values holds higher priority. This is my take on the point. Thank you, Dr. Ella.
Very nice. Thank you, Dr. Manisha. I think you brought in a very important point that we are developing so much softwares and so many other things, but probably there are many who would not know how to use it because there is no clarity on why. And also, one more important point that you brought out is that we ourselves can decide, once we know what to do, we can ourselves decide how to use it. So, thank you, Dr. Manisha. And with the same question, I would like to invite Dr. Anita Mani. Dr. Anita Mani.
Good evening. When we
Good
talk
evening.
of the priorities, what I feel in education, both are required. it is the responsibility to facilitate what we are going to do, that is how to do what as teachers, as professors, we are teaching our students. But simultaneously, we need to work on what to do also. Means we need to give them value education also. So we need to prioritize both of them. Right now, what is happening with students and with many of us, I'll say not only students, but many of us, we morely focus on accumulation of wealth, then accumulation of more and more things, consume more and more things, rather than giving priority what is required now, what is required later on. This is what is happening. But with proper value education, we can bring in the right understanding for the students. First, as a faculty, we need to get in the right understanding, then we can provide it to our students also. Then we can relate them.
Yes,
How it
your
relates
voice fully.
how it relates to relationship also. And then here we need to understand how we can focus on the need of physical facilities. If we are able to do that, I think things can work out much more better. If we are able to focus and bring both the things together, not only one, both the things, we can give priority to both of the things simultaneously, things can work out much more better. Thank you.
Okay. I was not able to hear you very clearly, but from what I understood, a very valuable point that you brought out is that both are important. But we need to understand the priority. And I think the priority that you brought about was on the value education, that with the right understanding, we'll also be able to live happily in relationship and also understand, with this right understanding, determine what is the physical facility, how much we need it. So thank you, Dr. Anita, for.
Thank you.
And now I welcome Dr. Garima.
Probably
Yes,
your
Dr.
screen is being shared here, which is displaying questions. So I hope you are not willing to share it, but it is probably by mistake being shared.
Yeah, it was not even there in the slide, in fact. It was removed. Okay, maybe we can go on to the next slide. The first slide. You can just open the first slide. Or one of the other slide, whatever, which Lipika
Yeah,
used.
fine now. Now conference theme and backdrop is there.
Yeah. You'll have to go to slides show, no?
Yes, still it's not in PPT mode, not presentation mode. Yeah. Try to make it. Now, okay.
Yeah. All right. So, yes, Dr. Garima, would you like to go ahead?
Yes, thank you, Dr. Ela, for that question. And as every panelist has already highlighted what is the need of value education in the current education scenario, I would just add few more points. For example, at a student level, I just see that students are not very confident or clear about what they want to do in their life. This is not true for everyone, but most of them, right? And they have certain misconceptions. They guide their life according to what has been discussed or what is the highlight of the scenario around them, and that is guiding their life actually. So depending on the external factors, they decide their vision for their life, right? So when we have a clarity through value education, it makes the person confident about the purpose of life. That means where they want to, what is their aspiration, and then what is the true human aspiration. They get aware of this thing. And with this clarity, a human being with the clarity, whatever role, whatever skill set that will the person will possess, they will contribute positively wherever they will go. Whatever role they will play in their life, they are going to contribute positively with fulfillment in their life. And that is why I think the value education is very important along with the skill education. So this is my take. Thank you.
Very nice, Dr. Garima. It's a reality that many students probably lack the confidence, and probably, as you have rightly pointed out, when there's no clarity on the purpose of life, uh, there is a confusion. So they're not able to perform well in life, although having all the skills. So it can be detrimental also to the society in that case and themselves. So with value education, there will be clarity in their basic aspiration. And with this clarity, they'll be able to contribute positively to life. That's very important. Very nice. Now I ask the same question to Dr. Amresh.
Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Ila. I think the entire panel is clear about the need of this value education at the higher, at the professional institutions. But what I am able to say as a faculty who was exposed to this content at the age of 54, I was able to check myself that even I was not aware of this basic aspiration. Leave about the student. So see, the content has its by own weightage. See, until and unless a human being is not be able to know what is his basic aspiration, then he is always trying to put lot of his struggle in life without knowing what really is the purpose. So the content is first helping a human being to know about, as other panelists just spoke about, that the basic aspiration has to be clear for him, because it is the aspiration is the being part, but what is that is focus for all of us. Till now, before this content was brought to me, I was only trying to do and trying to get, but it might be same for most of us, most of the human beings and the students too. So when I'm able to see this, the doing part and the getting part is a lower priority than the being part, then I can definitely work towards this. So I am able to see the need is very much evident, and it has to be brought for the professionals, because they are the one going to be the stakeholders of the society tomorrow. So if they are being brought up at this early age, that is the gift that as a teachers can give to the society. So what is my take in this is that we all need to uh, work for that. This is very much needed. That's what I am able to see. So the getting and doing part can be definitely there, but knowing the being part is, if it is there helping the students, then it is going to lead their life in a better way. That's what I am able to see. Thanks for the opportunity. Hope I was audible. Dr. Ila?
Yes, Amresh Bhaiya, you are audible.
Yeah, thank you.
Probably network issue at Ilaji's end.
Oh, it went off. Hello?
Now we can hear you.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't know how it went on mute. I had not done anything to it. Anyway,
Okay, Dr.
so Dr. Amresh, it was nice that you stressed on similar points of Dr. Garima,
Yeah.
clarity on basic aspiration.
Okay.
And one very important thing that you highlighted was about the students, the youth who are the future stakeholders of this society, and we need to work with them.
Yeah.
So you see that the need for education is very important, and the role that education can play in this transformation, where we are talking about what to do rather than, how to do. So rather over here, we are looking at how we can bring the transformation with the right understanding of what to do. So thank you very much, Dr. Amresh.
Thank you.
And with this, I have another question for what holds a higher priority in education according to you? Value education or technical skills? Yes, I would like to give this question directly to Dr. Manisha. Am I audible?
Yes, clearly, Ilaji.
Yes, yes, Dr. Ila.
Yeah, Dr. Manisha is there.
Yes, yes. Am I audible?
Yes, yes, you're audible.
Yes. Yes. In my earlier response, I clearly I'm able to see that value education is at higher priority. And if we are having value education in focus, then skill can be efficiently utilized. And I can see that at present, our focus is more on skill education. We are not focusing on the value education in our colleges, in higher education, and in our schools too. So if we are able to focus on the value education, then we could see that, as Dr. Garima has rightly said, that the student can be able to understand the purpose of what he is doing and why he is it doing. So he can then decide how he can do it for himself. So clearly, the value education is very important and it holds the priority, and we could we could make efforts to include value education in our higher education, in our primary and secondary education. So in case values are at priority, the skills can be better placed. This is what is my take, Didi.
Very nice. So as far as what I got from your point is that of the two, both are important, but priority of value education stands more. Again, to reiterate the point again, that all the panelists have expressed that keeping the students' perspective on understanding of what to do, which is more important, why to do is more important rather than how to do. They will figure out how to do it, but what to do is that clarity is very important. Yes, Dr. Amresh, would you like to add any other point to this?
Yeah. Thanks, Dr. Ila, once again. Yeah.
Maybe through your experience or whatever you want to, how do you see this priority? Why do you see this priority, if at all you see this priority?
Yes. See, once when the student is exposed to this content, the need is very much evident, because what happens is, once I am being put up with this content, I will be having that clarity. What is that I need to work on a priority? Priority is the right understanding. Otherwise, what happens is, without this clarity of where I need to work, it is on that individual is always slipped. I always think that the other is responsible. I try to improve the other or the outside situation rather than focusing inside. See, the self introspection starts once when the content is given to the student. What really that he need to work for, it is first his individual level. So that clarity is helping him to improve his own competence, because right now he always figure out that the outside event or the outside or the other person is responsible for his being part. So this is always there. Even it was there with me also. And the living part, it is not just an individual, it is the individual living with the family, and individual living with the friends, individual living with the society. And this he cannot really fulfill, because he is always thinking that the other has a problem and other needs to improve, but he doesn't has that focus within then. And he always tries to put lot of efforts for nothing out coming out, because he is not at all fulfilled by himself. Once when this content is there with him, this content of UHV is one which is helping him to work on his priority and work with the other human being, the understanding of the relationship, and work with the rest of the nature, with not exploiting, not getting into that accumulation state. He now figures out with a need-based living rather than want-based living. So this is the biggest gift that that the content is giving for every individual. So this is what I would say the values comes on a priority, then skills definitely are required because I need to work for my living. So skills are there in the back, definitely. And I will be focusing first with the values as a priority, because with this content, the last 2.5 years, 3 years of my living has really improved, and look at the purpose definitely. And now I try to figure out what can the program at all these levels that what I just discussed. Thanks for the opportunity. So values are on my first priority for me. Thank you.
Yeah, very nice. You brought out a very important feature of this, the curriculum in education, that how, through your own experience, how it has helped to go within and maybe have a better understanding of how to focus and identify on your own competencies and how to make that yourself better rather than focusing externally. A very valuable point that you brought out from your own experience. And with this, I'd like to ask Dr. Garima. Yes, Garima, you have
Yes.
your views on this?
Yes, yes, sure. So the question I would like to put forward is, what do we want our students to learn from our higher educational institute? Do I want engineers who are directionless, aimless? They don't know how to use their skill in right direction, constructively or destructively? If this is a question, then the answer is very apparent. The answer is that I want engineers to be using their skills constructively. So naturally, what to do takes a priority here, right? And secondly, I think the value education is related to the life. It is the lifelong learning. Whatever input is given to a student, he can apply it in their living. They can live accordingly and they can choose, they can have the choices in their life. Decision making will be ethical. So when I see all these outcomes, it is very natural. And I think this question has been raised, but answer is naturally coming to every one of us, that what to do holds a priority rather than how to do. Thank you.
So nicely put, Dr. Garima. Asking the question to ourselves. I mean, I thought I was asking the question to the panelists, but yes, this question is also to myself as to what we want our students to learn, whether we want them to be with direction or with directionless, whether we want them to be destructive or constructive. Are very valuable inputs. And I think the answer to this is that how they can be able to be guided to make ethical decisions in their life. Very nice. So we move ahead with another question now. And I ask this question to Mr. Mahesh. Do you feel that we need to teach values, or the student has to learn by themselves? Do we need to really include it in the educational curriculum? Now that all the panelists have said that it is very important, and you see it more important than the skill, but do you think we need to teach these values? What are your views to it, Mr. Mahesh?
Thank you, Dr. Ila. Now, if I take this question, like something has to be taught to someone, like from childhood, we don't teach, I can say, something to any child, but he learn himself or herself by his own or her own. But while learning, he has certain input into that. If the input is wrong or the input is right, he takes the right value, or you can say the value can be taken right wrongly also. Now that the input is not there, the students take from somewhere else. That may be uncertain assumption. If we take this way, so just take, if we don't teach the values, he will take with some assumption from somewhere, and that may not lead to the, I can say, right kind of a direction or right kind of understanding in his whole life. So what I feel, these values has to be taught but the methodology can be different. It is not kind of feel like other formal subjects that we learn into the education. So I feel this is very well can be taught into the education, but we have to be very careful how to teach those values into the education. So in my views, if they learn by themselves, it would be a, I can say, mixed kind of a response, because it is based on what they have their understanding. If there's not right, then that will be leads to the kind of a wrong scenario later on. So better way to have that, you can say, good kind of a scenario. For example, any child that is, I can say, has that ability to understand the concept by his own. So if it is not, I can say, rightly taught, then he may go with the wrong path, may lead with the some mistakes also. So it is my view. It has to be taught so he can take a right decision, and that will be reflected in his whole life. Yes, thank you very much. This is from my side.
Yeah, so thank you, Mr. Mahesh. You brought out a very important point about what is there in the environment. So whether the choice is whether to leave the students to pick up from from this environment and make their own assumptions and lead their life, which may be right, which may be wrong, or whether this should be brought into the mainstream education and brought in as a formal subject and be presented in a very constructive way. So I can see what you mean is that it should not be taught like the normal subjects or the teaching. There is a different way that the subject needs to be presented. That also needs to be looked at. Yes, Dr. Anita, what do you think about whether these values need to be taught or whether they can be just learned by oneself?
The values need to be taught. We do understand that certain things we do learn at home. But when it comes, certain times we forget as we grow up, because we learn how to do the things. We learn more of skills. And that time we do tend to forget what we say. We tend to forget when to use the values. So if they are taught in higher education again, and when they see their teachers or professors as to how they are working it, how they are living by it, it really makes a difference, because these students in higher education will be going out in the market. They'll be the one who will be taking decisions. So it will be easier for them to understand it, inculcate it, and later on provide things how to go ahead. Because when they see their teachers, they are living by it, and they're able to have that right understanding. They're able to understand that how teachers are living in relationship, how they are able to communicate properly, and they're able to identify their, what we say, needs, then it becomes easier. That's what I feel. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Anita. So what I can see is that, again, you're also stressing on similar points that they can be caught, values can be caught, but you're not sure, you're leaving it to, them even picking up assumptions and focusing more on skill. They may not use it rightly. So I can see that the entire panel is for, you see a need for value education. You also see it as priority. But on the other hand, now I have another question, that students are loaded with credits in the curriculum. So there is so much to be, covered in the syllabus with respect to whichever field they are, whether it's engineering or whether it's finance or whatever the field may be. So should you think that we should assign credits to the courses on human values, and again overburden them? My question is to Garima, Dr. Garima.
I think when we are
जी इसमें जो वो है ना जो व्यू दिख रहा है वो हम लोग को जूम स्टूडियो के थ्रू अगर हम ट्रांसमिट करेंगे ना, तो शायद वो काम अभी नहीं हो पाया है। हम लोग आगे करेंगे उसको। तो अभी ठीक है, अभी और लोगों का खोल दिया है ना, वीडियो पिन कर दिया है या स्पॉटलाइट कर दिया है, तो वो तो ठीक दिख रहा है, उनको भी ठीक दिख रहा है। हमने शेयर किया है उसमें, कॉन्फ्रेंस वाले उसमें मैसेज शेयर किया।
ओके भैया।
Can we continue?
Oh, sorry, my mic was unmuted. That was.
No worries, no worries. We will have all this during the final. So,
Yeah.
Mr. Garima, you can continue.
Yeah.
Yes,
Sorry,
yes.
sorry about that. Sorry for the interruption.
So when your previous question, I'll relate to that.
Yeah, my questions are whether the student should be loaded with credits again,
Yes.
because they're already overloaded with curriculum.
So we
the
are
regular
talking
curriculum.
about whether the value should go through human formal education. And when it goes through formal education, it has certain curriculum, and then there are credits also. So when we have discussed the need, the priority, the answer to this question is yes. Because when it is a credit-based course, the first impression goes to the student and the faculty in general is that this is an important subject. And when it is an important subject, it has to be in place in a timetable with proper syllabus, with exam, with credits, and so on. So it is worth it. I mean, a few more credits are worth it. Ultimately, we are trying to inculcate values in our entire education system. So I think it is very much okay to have credits to such courses.
Okay. Let us see what Dr. Manisha has to say. That what about the credits to this curriculum? Because it's a hassle, because you have to go through the board of studies, you have to get it introduced, you have to go through the management, you have to go through the higher ups. There is so much of work to be done so that it becomes a credit-based course. What do you think?
Yes, Dr. Ila, certainly, like we have also already discussed that the values can be caught but can also be taught. And the experiment done by AICT by introducing the value education in technical education, and it is experimented from last 15 years, and the results are quite promising. And so there the earlier, when it was introduced in AKTU, it was a value-based course, not a credit course. So a lot of problems and hurdles could be seen from the student side, since they were not taking it very seriously. So like Dr. Garma is saying that in order, if we can see the priority of values over skills, then we can see that how important it is for the student to learn this course. And in order to make them feel the importance of this course, initially it has to be made a credit based course, because sometimes in higher education, in technical education, students come with this mentality that values they have already they have lived in their homes, and now they are coming for learning skills. So that's why they don't take much interest in the value education. But if it is introduced as a credit course, they can see the importance of this course. And slowly when they it has been seen in the entire journey of value education, that once this course is introduced as a credit course and the students are exposed to this course, then the method through which, the process through which this course was given to them, the process of self exploration, and not the guidelines or the do's or don'ts or the beliefs. They were not, asked to follow these values. They were asked to verify them and they could able to live with that. So slowly they started taking interest in the courses, and we have got a lot of impact studies, lot of feedbacks from the students where they find this course very important for them. So credits are very important initially, and slowly when we can move, we can go ahead, and this course could be implemented, and the students got to know about the importance of the course. So that then they can on their own prefer to go with this course. But initially it has to be introduced as a credit course. This is my take.
Hmm. Thank you so much, Dr. Manisha. I think you brought in very valuable points by giving a live example of a university, of an institute which has worked on it for 15 years and seen a lot of impact on the faculty and the students. And yes, it's a long process. It's not going to be, the results of it will not be seen immediately. It'll take over a period. And another very important point that you brought in was the self-exploration process. How the process is worked with the young minds. They are able to explore rather than, the do's and don'ts. And thereby they're able to live with these proposals. And this definitely impacts. And we're going to see it also during the sharing sessions, the impact that is created in many institutes and universities. So thank you, Dr. Garima. I have a question to Dr. Amresh. Should we start value education from higher education, or should we fulfill these requirements from childhood and begin from there and focus on skill education in higher education?
Yeah, thanks, Dr. Ila. Once again, it is for us to see to it that there was a lot of discussion went in before they thought about at what level this education can come in, and there is a lot of experimentation going around. But right now, what we are able to see is that the tomorrow's society is going to be divided, or we are not able to see that that there is a lot of struggle happening around the society. So, looking into that, these values are helping every one of us. So, this has been thought that the next immediate generation who are going to society, or next parents who are going to be in society, are those graduates. So it has been very much thought process has been put up in this, bringing this proposal of trying to help the first the teachers of these educational institutions, especially the professional education institution, the higher level education, where the teachers were being brought up to this content, and then it is helping the next generation which is going to the society. So this is going to be the best approach, and we are also able to see this experimentation being done at the high school level and also to the school level. Definitely, as earlier question whatever you just asked, the process is really great. See, it is for me, a dialogue was given to me, and the dialogue was initially between the teacher who has started this content and with me, and then it was a dialogue within. So this is what is the process, and that is what is just the earlier speaker has brought about. And with the AICT hand holding in this scenario, it's not a problem of credits also. It is already, it said that the entire credits for a graduate can be brought about this additional 3 credits. That is what is being brought up, and we are all there to look into that and help this part of implementation and look into this part of the need of this value-based education in our professional colleges. Thank you for the opportunity once again.
Very nice, Dr. Amresh. In your very brief expression, you have already covered a lot of points. One is that you think that through a lot of experimentation and discussion, as this has been found, that the struggle that is there in the society, that can be the solution for that is through value education, and especially to the students in the higher education who are the stakeholders of the future, and who will also be able to prepare teachers through them so that we can be able to reach a larger mass. And yes, the role of AICT is definitely very, very crucial that it has played for this. Thank you, Dr. Amresh. And I would like to get views from Anita for this. Dr. Anita.
Things have been working out much more better right now because many of us are working on value education. So we can bring out certain changes. But as I have been telling, and many of my panelist members are also sharing, when it is credit based and when it is there as a compulsory part, things work out much more better. But when it comes to showing it up and putting it forward, it takes a little time, because here as faculty one needs to understand the concept, work on it, and then show it, because as technical one it was much more easier.
No, so
Things
Dr.
were-
Anita, do you see the need for it at higher education?
yes, there is a need. Why? Because these people would be going as what we say, will be taking decision makers, so it will be much more easier if they learn it, if they understand it, then it will be much more easier for them to work it out. That's what I
Yes.
feel. Thank you.
Okay.
And
Thank you
Didi,
so
we
much,
have
Dr.
time
Anita.
up.
It's over?
It is 8 o'clock.
All right. So,
Yeah,
any
Ilaji,
questions from
may I
the
take
audience?
2 minutes to give my views also on this
Yes,
panel
yes,
discussion?
surely. In fact, we are left with 2 more questions, but that's okay. Whatever.
Yeah, no issues. This is rehearsal only, है ना?
Yeah.
So it was truly nice to hear from all of you about need of value education in this panel discussion session. It was properly moderated and well coordinatedly means conducted. I just wish to share that certainly today the world has its definition of success. And we all as academicians are trying to approach it through skill education. But day by day degrading values and cultural deficit, this is demanding urgent facilitation to human to be life ready, isn't?
Yeah.
So today's panel discussion added quality to our thinking in this direction. Thank you everyone to take part actively in this panel discussion. I request volunteers, particularly taking notes of this session, for producing and preparing recommendations and producing it to moderator for assessing panel for final show. That will help us to assess panel for final show. Thank you so much, and it's over to you, Ilaji, for ending the session.
Thank you, Dr. Upasana, for the wonderful encouragement and the inputs that you have given. And we truly are all committed to the universal human values, as we can see from the importance that all the panelists who are doctorates in their own field, masters in their own field, experienced professionals who are into skill-based education, but discussing universal human values and see the great importance for it. They see that the need of it is there to, to work towards a society which is solution-centric and where each individual is able to focus on self-development and the development of the society, and how the future of the world is in the hands of the young students whom we are catering to. And if we are able to perform our responsibility, our duty as academicians, as mentors, as policymakers, as decision makers in education, I think if we are all able to see the need, we will all work towards it and we will make it happen. And therefore, the time will not be too long, as we heard in the keynote address, Dr. Ganesh Bagaria mentioning 100 years. And that also, he was very calm in mentioning it. So I think with his wisdom towards the time frame, I think we will all have patience and work towards our humane goal. And we are able to see the need, and let us be part of the sharings, the other panel discussions, and let us take more food for thought. Thank you very much to each panelist, to all the resource persons, and to all the delegates. Thank you very much for your patient listening and participation. Thank you.
Let's break the session for half an hour. Let's have our dinner, Hannah, and let's applaud for common effort. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you.
Nice.
Namaste,
Good,
sir.
Leela.
Namaste.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Namaste to all.